In northern Lebanon, 30 kilometers from Syria, lies Tripoli. This city is the poorest in the country. In the center, most of the shops are closed. The gold market, which was bustling just 2 years ago, is now completely deserted. In the shops, only local residents still come to sell their last remaining possessions.
I came to sell you this ring, and this one too.
That's 18-karat gold.
This pensioner is parting with her last items of jewelry. They're all she has to ensure her survival.
Our situation is terrible. Our government is letting us die. Shame about the jewelry, but I have 4 children to feed.
$155.
That's all? Okay then, I've got some silver too.
She's selling her husband's wedding ring to buy some food for her family.
I'll buy some flour, rice, bulgur, and a bit of meat. May God help us.
Tripoli is bearing the full brunt of the economic crisis that has crippled the country.
5,000 for a bunch of chard.
A few stalls still have a full range of products on offer, but the prices of food have shot up.
How much is the fish?
70,000 pounds. We've dropped the price by 5,000.
Thanks.
How much for those chicken legs?
40,000 pounds and the neck sell for 28,000. We used to feed them to the dogs. Today we eat them ourselves.
The chicken legs and the fish fillet cost 15 times more than they did 2 years ago. But while prices are going through the roof, wages across Lebanon have remained static. And as seen in Tripoli, getting enough to eat has become a daily challenge.
Just imagine, back in the days of our former Prime Minister, who the government now calls incompetent, this bag of rice cost 2,500 pounds. Today it's 7 times that. How's that supposed to work? How are poor people in this country supposed to eat? Of all the 128 representatives, or rather complete idiots, there's not a single one of them who's decent and humane.
Raging discontent has been building now for several years. On October 17, 2019, it exploded. For the first time since the end of the Civil War, a broad cross-section of Lebanese society joined together and took to the streets in unison to demand that the corrupt government resign. It wasn't so long ago when Lebanon was described as the Switzerland of the Middle East. The economy was strong and the country attracted investment from all around the globe. The small country shares borders with Syria and Israel. For decades now, government cabinet positions have been assigned by religious affiliation and distributed among Christians, Sunni Muslims, and Shia Muslims, a delicate compromise that had long been stable. But everything changed in 2019. The banking system collapsed. Investors and dollars fled the country. Inflation rose to higher than 140%, the highest rate in the world at that time.
We only earn a quarter of what we spend.
The Lebanese pound, or lira, lost 90% of its value.
Lots of monopoly money.
This unprecedented crisis has plunged a large portion of Lebanon's population into poverty.
If it hadn't been for the Christian community, they would have starved, literally starved.
The government failed to maintain investments. Now electricity is supplied for just a few hours each day.
That's Lebanon today.
And for over a decade now, Lebanon has also had to master an influx of 1.5 million refugees from Syria. Some blame the government for driving the country to bankruptcy, also given its supposed control over entire sectors.
This is one of the most corrupted areas, not even in Lebanon, I believe in the universe.
The crisis has reignited tensions between the different religious groups. For many Lebanese, their last resort is to leave the country.
Hands up if you want to leave Lebanon after college.
It's the only hope of a better future, and reflects a Lebanon fighting for its survival. This is Ashrafiyeh, a Christian district of Beirut. Father Gabriel is getting ready to say Mass. He's Catholic, a Jesuit, and French-speaking, like his congregation and the majority of the country's Christian middle class. People come here to do more than hear the word of the Lord. Many are also in attendance to hear the critical words of the priest's sermons.
Today's gospel is really timely. What should we do? Christmas is just around the corner, and we can only hope for the penitence of our political class. You can only hope that our political class asks, in the sense of St. John, what should we do? He would tell them, give back the money you stole and leave this land. Go work on your tans on the French Riviera. I won't say more because I want to sleep in my bed. And you do too.
Gabriel makes politically charged digressions like this because he's experiencing the crisis firsthand.
You've gotten too thin. I'll give you 10 kilos of mine.
Every week, the priest leaves Beirut and travels to Bekaa, a mountainous region in the eastern part of the country. Just like he does every time he gets in his car, Gabriel checks the fuel gauge.
Every time the tank is down to 2/3, you get gas, so it doesn't feel like you're paying so much. Fill her up, please.
The price of gas has risen 6-fold within 1 year.
How much, my brother?
300,000.
Here you go.
Thanks.
So we're full again. 300,000. That's madness.
20 liters of gas costs half the monthly minimum income in Lebanon, exorbitant prices that severely limit the ability of people to get from A to B.
It's amazing. There's hardly any traffic. Imagine the Arc de Triomphe in Paris at rush hour on a Monday with about 2/3 fewer cars. That's the way it is here.
Gabriel's consternation stems from the fact that 3 years ago, Lebanon was doing pretty well. Gasoline was cheap, people had work, the currency was stable. Today, it's all falling apart. And members of the country's middle class are among the first to lose out. They've been called the nouveau pauvre, the new poor. After a 2-hour drive, Father Gabriel arrives in Zachle. Since the start of the crisis, the Christian city of 80,000 residents has become a ghost town. There's not a soul to be seen on the traditional shopping street. The elderly and isolated residents are experiencing the worst societal degradation in their history. A local charity group helps the poorest of the poor. Gabriel lends a hand with its members every week.
How are you, Father?
Fine, thanks. We've got a lot to do today. Our goal is to give hungry people who don't have money something to eat. They're prepared meals. Here are the salads. Here we have desserts. And those are the warm meals.
Today, Father Gabriel is working alongside Rachida.
Let's go to Jeanette. I've put everything on the table for you.
And how about the bills?
My brothers help me. Every month they give me a little money. God bless you.
My sister.
The charity supports more than 200 families.
Where can I put this? How are you?
My dear father, thank you for coming. Thank you.
In Lebanon, pensions can be paid out monthly or be received in a one-time payment. Sabua was a teacher for 30 years and chose the lump sum option, 300 euros.
It's lovely here.
We used to be better off and could buy heating oil and wood. Now everything's extremely expensive. I have trouble with my eyes and need injections, but a single injection costs £800,000, plus the doctor's fee of £350,000. He didn't give me the injection this month because I couldn't pay for the one from last month.
So what if you miss an injection?
He prescribed drops and said that I should come back in 6 weeks' time. What can I do? How can you live like this when you only earn a quarter of what you spend?
Each injection costs the equivalent of 50 euros. Gabriel does all he can to help her.
Here, take the 300,000. That's for the shot. It's from Jesus.
Thanks, it's too much.
At the end of the street, they find greater hardship and rage. This family has lived here for 20 years. The father used to be a painter. He's jobless now. In the current economic situation, it's impossible to find another job. They simply have no income. Inside, there's a tiny kitchen, a toilet, and a living room, which the entire family also uses as a bedroom. And the refrigerator is desperately bare.
What do you do when you want to make a meal for the family?
Sometimes I go to the market and the vendors give me food they haven't sold. Otherwise, there's still the Johanna restaurant. We can get some food there too. God isn't forgetting us.
The mother puts her faith in God, while her husband looks to human assistance, such as that provided by Gabriel.
Do you use the heating? So what's the stove for?
It's just for show.
Does it make you mad that the state doesn't take care of you?
What can I say? I don't have any work. And I've got 5 people to feed.
Do you hate the state?
The state? What state? We'd starve without the help of these charities. If you were working before the crisis, you could pay your electric bill, no trouble. But with the inflation we have today, that's impossible. It's far too expensive. How are you supposed to manage without going out on the street and begging?
36% of the population lives in extreme poverty. That's nearly 5 times more than 2 years ago.
What would have happened to this family without the Christian community?
They would have starved. Literally. Literally starved.
Communities across the country, whether Christian, Muslim, or Druze, are relying on local charity to survive. Nobody saw this kind of brutal economic collapse coming, in which for many people, daily life has become a nightmare within just 2 years. In Shuafat, a southern suburb of Beirut, we visit a grocery store. Riyadh has been running the shop for the last 4 years. The ongoing crisis in the country has seen him become a master of improvisation.
There's no electricity anymore, so I can't shut my blinds anymore.
Now he has a new morning ritual.
Once I get here, I turn on the phone and check the dollar exchange rate.
The lira and the dollar have always existed side by side in Lebanon's economy. Until 2019, the exchange rate between the two currencies was stable, with $1 equal to 1,500 pounds. The exchange rate changes daily. On this morning, a dollar was worth 21,000 pounds, almost 15 times more than 2 years ago.
The dollar rate keeps rising, so supplier prices are rising too. I have to continually adjust my prices. Can you give me the calculator? Okay. That's Dimex 1.2 liters. Today it costs £16,800. Put 18% onto that and, okay, price it at £19,824.
That's how he's now pricing his products, which even he has trouble finding. The state is only providing 1 to 2 hours of electricity a day in this area. To keep frozen foods from spoiling, Riyadh has had to make further adjustments.
I can't be selling products that make people sick, so I decided to only keep using one freezer and unplug the rest. I've also had to reduce my selection.
As if by magic, the electricity comes back on at noon. The staff can get back to work as normal.
Eggs, potatoes, and that's all?
For more than a year now, Riyadh hasn't earned a proper profit at his shop. Some months he doesn't even break even. Lebanon is currently a shadow of its former self, in more ways than one. Beirut was once the nightlife capital of the Middle East, but for most, those all-night parties are now a distant memory. The dollar has become a scarce commodity in Lebanon.
The city centre is dead. The city centre is scary. The whole city now looks like a ghost town.
This group of friends meets once a week. They are all under 30 and have recently entered the workforce. Rebecca is 24. This young woman from Beirutine is a legal consultant for an international firm.
What's the dollar worth today? I don't know.
This question is on everyone's lips in the country. And today, the news is rather good.
Today, $1 is worth £27,000. That's a little less than yesterday.
With inflation in the country, a simple salad has become a luxury item.
This salad, for example, costs £194,000. 2 years ago, it was worth £11,000. I can't believe this has been going on for 2 years. And people are getting used to it. It's not right. We should be angry every day. Right now, you might see us having fun, but I think we're actually so depressed by what's happening that it's better to laugh about it.
When the bill came up, the total was staggering. 1.2 million Lebanese pounds. That's twice the minimum wage in the country, or 50 euros at today's exchange rate.
Today, everyone in Lebanon is a millionaire, but in Lebanese pounds, not dollars.
The dollar has become the country's scarce commodity today. A series of foreign investors left the country in 2019 due to dwindling confidence in the Lebanese government. Their departure sparked the nation's financial collapse. The lira lost almost 90% of its value. Lebanon's banks set severe withdrawal limits for those Lebanese who had dollars. The aim was supposedly to prevent the state going bankrupt. Rebecca hasn't had any access to some of her bank accounts since 2019.
So here it says card limit exceeded, so I cannot withdraw anymore, as if I exceeded the limit, but I haven't withdrawn any US dollars in more than 1 year. So, yeah, it's crazy.
She does have more than $10,000 on this account, but in light of the situation in Lebanon, it's impossible to say if that money still exists.
How many cards do you have?
3. 1 fresh, 1 not fresh US dollar, and 1 Lebanese lira.
What do you call fresh dollars?
Fresh dollars is all the dollars that were transferred from outside after 2019. The other dollar is the one that's stuck in the bank. This is everything that you have dollars before 2019. You cannot withdraw any of it. Any of it. You just see it and you cannot withdraw. So only fresh you can withdraw.
These fresh dollars are akin to the holy grail for those who have access to them. They come from outside the country and are now worth a fortune when exchanged against the devalued local currency. They've led to the development of a new privileged social class. Our next stop is a beach resort near Batroun, an hour's drive north of Beirut. Here there are a number of people who have been left unscathed by the crisis. The big supermarket chains are still crowded.
How are you?
Joseph, now in his early 40s, moved here 4 years ago.
This is my village.
Do you come here often?
Sure. About 3 or 4 times a week.
Joseph is a sales representative at an international pharmaceutical company, and he gets his monthly salary in dollars.
Where are the ripe tomatoes? Those nice ripe ones.
Okay.
Thanks to those fresh dollars, Joseph and his wife Romy now live like royalty in a ruined Lebanon.
Is alcohol expensive now in Lebanon?
For Lebanese people, yes.
So you're not Lebanese?
No, I am, but Lebanese with fresh money.
So is that a new class or a new type of Lebanese?
A new type of Lebanese.
Before it was like for $10 only, this bottle. Now for the Lebanese it's like 2,000. They cannot afford it anymore. It's nothing for me.
2,000 lira. Joseph's monthly salary is $3,000 or 60 million Lebanese pounds.
Have you become rich?
Yes, I've gotten rich.
When we're buying everyday items, we don't look at the price anymore.
Romy is a primary school teacher. She's paid in Lebanese pounds. Without Joseph's dollars, she wouldn't manage to get by. Now the couple have no reason to worry when they approach the checkout. Their bill today, £685,000. That's equivalent to $30, about equal to the minimum monthly wage in Lebanon, a minimum wage that has plummeted by a factor of 15 in 2 years. It's now lower than the minimum income in Afghanistan. Joseph and his wife have built a house in this residential area in the hills above Batroun. They started the undertaking in 2017 when they took out a 20-year mortgage for 50 million Lebanese pounds. But with the local currency collapsing, their 150 square meter house cost them only about $2,500. It was a sum they paid back in 2 months.
There are 3 rooms and a 4th room on the upper floor in the back. We're only using it as a storage room right now. We have 3 floors.
This Sunday, they've invited friends to lunch. Joseph receives his guests with a meal fit for royalty.
They need, I think, more 10 minutes.
He wants to share his new wealth with others. The latest technology corkscrew. There's some serious cash here. Around the table, they are from different faiths. They all work, but the majority of them are paid in Lebanese pounds.
How did you get here?
In the car.
Did it cost you money?
It's okay. It's only the beginning of the month. With my salary of $3,000, I could support 30 families. And yet, I can't seem to be happy. Because all the activities I used to do with my friends, I can't do with them anymore. So we're no happier than before, even though we have money.
After everything we've been through in Lebanon these past few years, we don't know what tomorrow will bring, so we're making the most of today. As long as we have the means, we'll see what happens next.
Rami is a public servant, for example. Each month, he's paid in Lebanese pounds. So for this friend of the couple, buying a $6 bottle of wine was a huge expense.
I get paid about $80 or $85 a month. That's enough to fill the car twice with gas. Before, I earned about $1,200. Now, about $80. The difference is enormous.
Despite the inflation in Lebanon, wages have never been adjusted. As the friends make a toast, Joseph adds, "Hang in there." Only about 13% of the Lebanese population are paid in dollars. Everyone else is paying a hefty bill for this crisis. The absurdity of the situation has driven some to campaign for a fairer economy. Rebecca has an appointment with her lawyer. As usual, there's no power. Across the country, you'll hear the same reaction.
That's Lebanon today.
A year ago, Rebecca decided to file a lawsuit against her bank for illegally withholding her dollars.
What happened? We were supposed to have an appointment at Byblos Bank.
Yes, but they cancelled it. I don't know when we'll be able to resume proceedings. Unfortunately, nothing is moving in our direction at the moment, but we shouldn't give up.
There's no law allowing this informal freeze on her and other people's savings.
The banks were closed for weeks because of the protests, and when they opened after 2 weeks, there was nothing left. We're really dealing with a mafia that decided to steal people's money by transferring it to their own accounts abroad. Who are these people? Politicians, bankers, and the governor of the central bank, Riyad Salameh. I reckon it's the biggest scam in history. We're talking here about $100 million that just disappeared.
A political and business elite is being blamed for impoverishing the country to benefit their private interests. In 2019, a French broadcaster asked the governor of the central bank, Riyad Salameh, about the money that had been wired abroad.
In Lebanon, we're free to transfer money. But we're examining events from an ethical standpoint to see if politically exposed persons who transferred money abroad use their positions in a way that might constitute an abuse of power.
Ironically, Riyad Salameh is himself one of the people accused of taking part in this massive capital flight as a private individual.
He and his brother have around $300 million on one of their bank accounts in Switzerland.
Is that consistent with his bank salary?
Certainly not.
The Lebanese banking sector is said to have been functioning for decades like a Ponzi or pyramid scheme, a fraudulent financial scam that promises very attractive interest. In order to pay the latter, the banks use the money they get from new customers. But when that source of money dries up, the pyramid collapses. When the first investors fled Lebanon, the entire country ended up paying the price.
There are people like Rebecca's parents who worked their whole lives long and thought, we've saved money for our retirement or to allow our children to study abroad. And now they're left with nothing. The whole thing is the bank heist of the century.
In 2016, a study showed that 90% of the majority shareholders in Lebanese banks were relatives of politicians. Nepotism of this kind has already had devastating consequences.
Oh my God!
On August 4th, 2020, warehouse number 12 exploded in the port of Beirut. Its contents, 2,750 tons of ammonium nitrate, a highly flammable and explosive fertilizer, stored unattended. The horrific accident destroyed entire districts of the capital within a radius of several kilometers. In total, it left 218 people dead and more than 6,500 injured. To the surprise of some, after the disaster, the president of Lebanon appealed to the resilience of the Lebanese people rather than focusing on an emergency plan.
Ladies and gentlemen, today Beirut is trying to raise itself from the ruins. With the efforts of every single Lebanese and with their support, the city's wounds will heal and it will rise again, just as it has always done in its history.
The relatives of the victims have yet to find peace, even today. On the 4th day of every month, they gather at the port to remember their loved ones.
Today is my Jessica's birthday. Do you know what it's like when a mother cannot celebrate her daughter's birthday?
In the space of seconds, my soulmate, my wife, had been taken from me. I spent 34 years with her.
The issue is a highly sensitive one, with many blaming the government. The subsequent investigation was entrusted to Tarek Bitar, a judge said to be incorruptible, a rarity in Lebanon.
All I want is justice. I hope Judge Bitar sees this through to the end. All of us here support him.
But Bitar's investigation got bogged down. This day marked the 3rd time it was suspended. Members of the government who refused to be questioned were obstructing his work through legal challenges.
The judge knows the truth, and we know exactly who killed these victims and blew up the port.
And there's one man in the country who has a special degree of interest in this case.
نعود إلى هذه الحلقة من يسقط حكم الفاسد بننتقل مباشرة لزميلي ليال بوموسى لأنه مش
Riyad Kobeisi is an investigative journalist who is relentlessly trying to get to the bottom of the country's corruption. Every morning, his drive to work takes him past the port.
The best area to stop is here, somewhere here. I know where from the outside, not from the inside, because I'm not allowed to enter there. Yeah.
According to Kobeisi, several members of the government knew for years about the ammonium nitrate being stored at the port.
This is one of the most corrupted areas, not even in Lebanon, I believe in the universe. It's like the black hole of corruption. To a certain extent, this place is kind of like of a microcosm of Lebanon. Is operated by mafia men, appointed by mafias, elected via democratic process. You cannot be appointed there. It's not only that you have to be affiliated with a certain party. More than that, some people, actually not some people, most of them paid a lot of money in order to be appointed here. For example, when it comes for the custom controller, with our calculations, he used to be paid like $2,000 per day. Per day. Per day. And if he got only $2,000 per day, he will be pissed.
According to official statistics, the port earns about $200 million in income annually. Kobeisi says that without the corruption, that figure would be close to $25 billion. The journalist takes risks as he takes on the powerful. After one of his investigations, he was physically attacked a few years ago by a port official. Since then, he's been taking precautions.
My own surveillance system. There are like 10 cams inside the car, just to make sure that in case anyone decided to attack me, just to have my story documented.
His wife is a presenter with the same broadcaster.
Are you proud of his work?
Yes, but sometimes he gives me headaches.
Why?
Because it's dangerous. I'm afraid something bad will happen.
She's scared for you.
Yeah, I mean...
I'm telling him every time I'm telling him this, but il s'en fout.
You're not gonna change your work?
I told you, I tried to act like a gazelle. It didn't work.
Why?
I'm a bear.
And Kobeisi refuses to be intimidated. The journalist has published the results of his investigation of the port blast online. His website features the faces of politicians linked to the incident and makes all the evidence he's collected available. That includes a letter written by Colonel Joseph Scaff. Back in 2014, the customs official had already been sounding the alarm.
There's a ship by the name of Roses docked at quay number 11 in the port of Beirut. On board is a large cargo of a dangerous explosive that constitutes a danger to public safety. We ask that the ship be removed from the quay.
Ultimately, no action was taken. The colonel died in suspicious circumstances in March 2017. Despite suspicions of murder, the investigation said the cause of death was an accidental fall.
This combination of patronage and incompetence and negligence and corruption, this is the pure mixture of the bomb itself. I know that there's a lot of corruption in Mexico, maybe, in many other countries, but not like in Lebanon. Why? Because there are countries where there are like dominant mafias. But in Lebanon, this country is owned by the mafias. They own the country.
A country drifting rudderless. And to make matters worse, it's hungry. In this situation, just the tiniest spark could cause tensions to escalate and explode. Which is what happened in October 2021. Followers of the Shia Amal movement, which is allied with the powerful Hezbollah party, were demonstrating in front of the Palace of Justice. They demanded that the Christian judge Tarek Batar be withdrawn from investigating the explosion at the port. They accused him of being under the influence of foreign powers and in particular of targeting Shia politicians. Sectarianism, the plague of Lebanon, was back. Late in the afternoon, heavily armed demonstrators went to the entrance of the Christian quarter in Beirut. Within seconds, the situation took a dramatic turn as the demonstrators came under fire. The subsequent street battles between Christians and Shias lasted 5 hours. Seven people were killed, all of them Shia. Ali is 60 years old. Since his youth, he's been a militiaman in the armed wing of the Shia Amal party. He takes us to the scene of the clashes.
It all started here. The first person who was killed was here. A sniper shot him. Amal's youth were here.
According to Ally, the young Shiite militiamen are martyrs, attacked that day by Christian opposition members.
Amal's youth were here. They moved from this street toward this building. It was a defensive response, that's all.
Attracted by our camera, a resident, also Shiite, joins our conversation. Her building was one of the hardest hit by the gunfire.
We were watching the young people on the street, and then suddenly they started shooting from this side, and everyone ran away.
Where do you live? What story?
The fifth.
Up there.
We were in the apartment.
The resident then agrees to us visiting her home. As she takes us along to see the damage, the Shia militiaman, Ali, follows right on our heels. She's been living here for 14 years with her husband and 3 children.
We hid in the bathroom. There was no way out. The shots came from this side. This wall was riddled with bullet holes. It was horrible. We were terrified.
The family filmed the hellish scenes on their phones. Her youngest son, Abbas, is 13. He's still in shock.
We put this up as a barricade to protect ourselves if they came with a rocket launcher. There were 4 of us here.
Were you afraid of the rocket launchers?
Yes, they had rocket launchers, M14s, M16s, and a few grenades. I was here. My neighbor was here. My father here. And my sister further away.
And how long were you in there?
At least 2.5 hours.
2.5 hours?
Yes.
Were you scared?
A bit, not much.
The whole family was evacuated after what seemed like an eternity.
Are you afraid it will start again?
Yes, of course. I live with the stress.
It reminded me of the Civil War. I thought, here it goes again.
The family does not want to see the different religious communities at war with each other. Their children go to a Christian school. And alongside the Quran, they even have an image of the patron saint of Christians in Lebanon.
Our neighbors are Christians, Muslims, all religions. We're one. That's not the problem.
At the same time, it almost seems as if Ali is getting ready for a possible return of civil war.
All of Lebanon is armed. There are weapons everywhere. In the 1990s, all the militia had to surrender their arms to the government. The Amal group did it too. But when they began to provoke us again, we went out and got some other guns. As a militiaman, I'm not afraid. I'm ready to go to war for my party.
I don't agree with what he's saying. It's an absurd war. It's not in the interests of anyone in Lebanon to live like that. We want to live in peace and raise our children in peace. It's nonsense that every citizen should be armed.
The ghost of bloody sectarianism returned to haunt Lebanon on that fateful day, even if a majority of people in the country are trying to exorcise this specter. This Friday, Father Gabriel is on his way to the south of the country. He is going to Saida, 50 kilometers from Beirut, a predominantly Muslim city. It is the 3rd largest in Lebanon. Upon arriving, Gabriel walks briskly. His students are waiting for him.
I missed you. It's been a long time. I missed you so much. I'm so moved to be back here on campus.
He is a professor of general studies. The university is private and Christian affiliated. However, its faculty and students come from all faiths. Hello. Today's lesson is about freedom and religion, a topic the younger generation in this country seems comfortable with. My generation, however, hasn't been able to break free from sectarianism. We failed. Will your generation be able to break free or not? No. We simply see and are seeing what religion has done and is doing in our Lebanon. It caused a civil war, and it could cause another one if we continue like this. So secularism is necessary. And I think that we, my friends, this generation has this awareness, of course. Between a failed state and a crippled economy, these students envision their future outside of Lebanon, quite unanimously. By a show of hands, who wants to leave Lebanon after university? In the name of Muhammad, Khadija, Fatima, Jesus, and the Blessed Virgin Mary, in the name of all the saints and their families, Laza, who wants to stay? because everyone was talking about change. If we're talking about everything that's going to change, then, if we want to change the country, there's only one way to do it, and in my opinion, we owe you a debt. We failed to give you. We have a debt. We were unable to convey it to you. A country worthy of you, where you can live normally. What did we give you in the end? A country in tatters? This country in tatters. 1 million Lebanese have already left. In every sector, public services have ground to a halt. The government has let its healthcare system, its construction sites, and its electrical grid rot away. The country's 2 main power plants are very poorly maintained. One of them is operating at only 30% of its capacity. Its equipment is obsolete. Employees wait in front of blank screens. The country lives with the rhythm of long power outages. To compensate for this shortage, a private network has emerged electricity generators. In each neighborhood, these large green boxes provide 2/3 of the energy needed by Lebanese households. This system is illegal, but necessary and therefore tolerated. Exceptionally, we were able to penetrate this informal network. Do you see this cable? The one coming from our generators. It runs along the road to supply this building. Come and see our meters. This man is one of the 2 owners of the 8 generators that supply the entire neighborhood. These wires come from the main cable powered by our generators. They are connected to this electrical panel. For each apartment, there's a meter. And each meter has its own circuit breaker. But isn't that dangerous?
No, it's not dangerous.
No, it's not dangerous.
For safety,
we take all the necessary safety precautions.
It's not dangerous. No.
Here, the public electricity comes on for 2, 3, 4 hours a day, sometimes just 1 hour.
4 hours, 1 hour.
And when it goes out, we turn on our generators.
We give electricity.
About 15 hours a day. That's good, isn't it? In front of our camera, these 2 partners claim to supply only 500 homes with electricity. Yet, their network covers more than 1,000. To fuel their generators, 9 tanker trucks filled with diesel deliver them daily. They are transferring the fuel oil from the truck to the tanker. It has a capacity of 30,000 liters. This huge tank will be empty by tomorrow. This is where the electricity is distributed to each zone, A, B, C, to power the houses. Each contactor will supply power to between 2 and 3 houses. The government tried to regulate this private market by imposing a price schedule. Yet, generator owners continue to charge 3 times the price of the public sector. I'm here so you can pay my electricity bill. At the beginning of each month, their employees come to people's homes to collect the payments. Is it expensive? Too expensive. I earn $1 million a month here, and they get $10 million for electricity. With these rates, we're sometimes forced to pay out of our own pockets. The problem is, it's empty. On average, a household spends £2 million or $80 a month on its private generator bills. In total, the revenue for these 2 partners is estimated to be between $40,000 and $80,000 per month. In the country, these networks are nicknamed the generator mafia.
The government, they need you.
If the state needs you, if the population needs you, why are you considered an illegal system?
Why? It's weird.
It's strange. I can't answer that question.
The
The only question that matters is, do you want electricity or not?
We are behind the government.
We're here to support the government. When the state provides electricity everywhere, we'll turn off our engines and go home quietly. We're not a mafia. If we turn off our engines for 20 minutes, you'll see all the residents of the neighborhood protesting on their balconies. Not even 20 minutes, 5 minutes. And right now, is the business profitable? No, we're not making any money. You buy the fuel in dollars? Yes, in dollars. And in fresh dollars, a fortune. If you don't pay in dollars, you don't get any fuel. With a Rolex on their wrist and a Jaguar parked in the driveway, it seems hard to believe their benevolent rhetoric. In 2018, the generator market was estimated at $1.9 billion. If this informal sector is more than tolerated by the Lebanese government, it's because the government benefits from it. This is what Mark Ahub explains. For this energy researcher, it all resembles a game of Monopoly. The government, diesel importers, and private generator operators all have a common interest in the power grid failure.
They are working on diesel.
The country's electricity runs on diesel. The energy sector's value chain begins with diesel importers. It's a cartel of 13 companies that supplies the country. And if you look at the heads of these diesel companies, they are either politicians in the country or close associates connected to the elite. For example, like Cogeco, the Basatne brothers, EPCO, all of them. Cogeco, this company, Cogeco, one of the leaders in diesel imports, is 40% owned by Wally Jumblatt. This former Minister of Transport is still at the head of one of the country's historic political parties, despite a clear conflict of interest. So obviously, these companies and the politicians involved have a vested interest in Lebanon importing diesel. And who are the biggest consumers of diesel? Electricity generators. For years, these various players have made huge profits from this business. If they tell you otherwise, it's a lie. Except that these profits amassed by an organized group in power don't trickle down, or very little, into the pockets of the Lebanese people. Tired of promises of a better life that will never be realized, some are ready to risk their lives to flee the country. Among them is Mohammed, who lives in Tripoli.
Go. Get out of the kitchen.
The 35-year-old former tour guide lives with his entire family in this 2-room apartment, with his mother, his sisters, and his 4 children. In October 2021, he and his son Hossam tried to enter Europe illegally via the sea. The plan was to have the rest of the family follow after they got there, but the trip was a short one.
There were 82 of us, and we'd bought a big boat. Our plan was to go to Italy, and from there, each of us would find their own way through Europe. But fate had different plans. We lost everything. The Turkish Coast Guard arrested us. And when did we meet again?
In jail.
You were in jail?
Yes.
And how old were you then?
7.
There were 16 people to a cell in jail. It was tough. Just imagine it. My son was sleeping with me on a bench, surrounded by Daesh terrorists.
Mohammed and his son were arrested during the crossing to Europe and spent 29 days in jail before being sent back to Lebanon. In spite of the traumatic experience, the temptation to leave the country has become even stronger for the family.
When you look at the sea, what do you think of?
I think about a day when the weather is good and we can set off again.
And that's your dream?
I just want to leave this country with my children.
So you'll set off again?
Yes.
And why?
Because people die here every day.
As Lebanon continues to be ravaged by a crippling financial crisis, Mohammed and Hossam look out to sea, hoping that maybe there's a better life waiting for them beyond the waves and the horizon.